Last night, in one of the most savage moments in State of the Union history, President Trump called on Congress to ban insider trading that's enabled members of Congress to get rich by shamelessly exploiting their office. And he called out one name, one politician in particular, in front of the entire nation. But this wasn't just a humiliation ritual for the Democrats. This was the opening salvo in a war against the most corrupt, most bipartisan, most deeply entrenched scandal in Washington. Members of Congress getting rich off information that would put you or me in prison. And the data, it's absolutely staggering. Stick with me to the very end of this video because you're not going to just get mad. I'm going to show you how you can get even. Hey gang, it's me, Dr. Steve, your patron professor, and I gotta tell you, of all the incredible moments from last night's State of the Union speech, this is the one I want to dig into because this one hits every single American right in the wallet. If you haven't already done so, make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button, and let's dive right in.
Stock market. Let's also ensure that members of Congress cannot corruptly profit from using insider information. They stood up for that. I can't believe it. I can't believe it. Did Nancy Pelosi stand up if she was here? Doubt it. Pass the Stop Insider Trading Act without delay.
Oh, she was there all right, and she looked smashed. She looked drunk out of her mind. So on top of having Al Green ejected and making Ilhan Omar cry, after he's already had the hockey team bring down the House, Trump pivots to the economy, and he calls on Congress to pass the Stop Insider Trading Act, an act that would ban members of Congress, their spouses, and their dependent children from purchasing publicly traded stocks, and it would require a 7-day public notice before they can sell any of their stocks. So no more quiet dumps the night before earnings tank, right? No more, oh, my husband manages our portfolio. That's been Nancy Pelosi's excuse for the last 4 decades. All of that is finally over and done. And here's what made this moment so absolutely perfect. The Democrats who had stood up and applauded for that insider trading ban, they slowly and awkwardly sat back down after Pelosi was singled out. So they stood for the principle, but they sat down to protect the person, right? That's everything you need to know about Democrat hypocrisy. Now, let's talk about why Trump singled out Nancy Pelosi, because the receipts on this woman are a mile long and they are damning. Let's start with the most recent scandal. On December 30th, 2025, Pelosi disclosed the sale of 5,000 shares of PayPal stock at roughly $59 a share, a transaction worth approximately $295,000. Sounds routine, right? Except that just days later, PayPal reported fourth quarter earnings that missed expectations across the board, and they announced that their CEO is being replaced. The stock cratered. It dropped over 27% from where Pelosi sold, including a brutal 17% single session plunge on February 3rd. She got out at $59. The stock fell to $42. Impeccable timing. And it was hardly an isolated incident. Pelosi's household portfolio, which she attributes entirely to her husband, Paul, has consistently outperformed major market benchmarks. In 2024, her portfolio rose approximately 71%, while the S&P 500 gained just 25%. She bought NVIDIA call options before semiconductor legislation that she helped advance. She loaded up on tech stocks before major regulatory decisions. Her net worth now exceeds $250 $169 million, making her one of the wealthiest members of Congress. Now, before you get too upset at this, guess what? We can do this too. Did you know that? There's a way you can crack the code on insider trading, but you can do it legally and ethically. Thanks to this handy SEC loophole, courageous patriots like you and me can see exactly what big CEOs are buying up in real time. We can use that info to ride the wave of their moves, just like Pelosi does, completely above the board. So here's the fastest way for you to get this information. Join me and my buddy, Ross Givens, this Thursday, February 26th at 3 p.m. Eastern for an absolutely free online training in all of this. Ross is a master of the insider trading world. He's seen returns at 200%, even as high as 1,500%. So don't miss your chance to learn how to trade like Pelosi and transform your own financial future. Click that link below to grab one of the final seats with me at Ross's free training again this Thursday, February 26th at 3 p.m. This is going to be a total game changer. Now, it's fun to pick on Pelosi for sure, but I want to be very clear about something because intellectual honesty matters. This is not just a Democrat problem. This is a Washington problem. Okay? This is not a Democrat problem. This is a Washington problem. This is a bipartisan epidemic of corruption that infects both parties. And if we're going to drain the swamp, we need to be honest about that. Let's look at the data. According to Unusual Whale's annual report on congressional trading, in 2024 alone, Democrat representatives recorded an average portfolio increase of approximately 31%, while Republican representatives saw an average portfolio increase of 26%, both outperforming the S&P 500's 24.9% gain. Over 20 lawmakers from both parties recorded gains nearly double the market benchmark. The top performers included Representative David Rouser, Republican from North Carolina, Debbie Wasserman Schultz, Democrat from Florida, Ron Wyden, a Democrat from Oregon, Roger Williams, Republican from Texas, Morgan McGarvey, Democrat from Kentucky, each seeing their portfolio values soar over 100%. 100% in a single year. That makes Warren Buffett look like an amateur. And then there's the bombshell from the National Bureau of Economic Research. Congressional leaders, all right, so we're talking speakers, floor leaders, whips, caucus chairs, congressional leaders consistently outperform rank and file members by up to 47% a year. Before they became leaders, they underperformed the market. After they get the gavel, suddenly they're investment geniuses. How does that work? The researchers found that leaders earn higher returns on companies that contribute to their campaigns or are headquartered in their own states, and that their stock sales actually predict the number of hearings and regulatory actions over the following year. Let that sink in. They're not just trading on inside information. The research suggests that they may be shaping policy outcomes to enrich themselves. So again, this is not left versus right. This is Washington versus you. Again, that's why you don't want to just get mad. You want to get even. So make sure to click on that link below and join me and Ross Givens for a free online training where you're going to learn exactly how to trade just like Pelosi, but we're going to do it legally and ethically. And speaking of, you may be wondering, don't we already have laws against this? Well, yeah, sort of. But they're an absolute joke. It's called the Stock Act. It was signed into law by President Obama back in 2012 after a major public outcry, and it requires members of Congress to disclose stock trades exceeding $1,000 within 30 to 45 days, and it technically makes it illegal for lawmakers to trade on non-public information. Sounds great on paper. Just one problem. The penalty for violating the Stock Act, I kid you not, is $200. A whole big whopping $200. It's a little slap on the wrist. That's it. You could make millions on a single insider trade, and the fine is less than a speeding ticket. And to make matters even worse, you ready for this? The enforcement on this, it's a big fat goose egg. Zero. Nada. Not a single member of Congress has ever been prosecuted for insider trading under the Stock Act. Not one. In over 13 years. The law exists solely on paper and absolutely nowhere else. So what does Trump's Stop Insider Trading Act actually do differently? Well, first, it imposes a complete ban on members of Congress, their spouses, and their dependent children purchasing publicly traded stocks. Okay, not a disclosure requirement, not a reporting window, a complete and total ban. Second, it requires a 7-day public notice before any stock sale can go through. So no more quiet midnight dumps before earnings disasters. And here's the beautiful part. This thing has massive bipartisan support, largely propelled by the massive populist revolt that's bringing down the corrupt political class. Ironically, insider trading is one of those rare issues where the left and the right agree. The corruption's got to end. And again, the American people are way ahead of Congress on this. A full 86% of Americans consistently support banning congressional insider trading. 86%. When you can get 86% of Americans to agree that you can't get 86% of Americans to agree that water is wet, for heaven's sakes. So if 86% agree on any political issue, the country is absolutely united on this. That's why Trump's moment last night was so devastating and so politically brilliant. He took the single most popular reform in American politics. He put it on the biggest stage in American government. He got both parties on record applauding it and then turned it into a kill shot against the most notorious stock trader in congressional history. In one 30-second exchange, he exposed the hypocrisy, he pocketed the bipartisan win, and he reminded every American watching exactly who has been getting rich while they struggle to pay for groceries. Here's the bottom line, gang. For decades, members of Congress, Republicans and Democrats, have been playing the stock market with a loaded deck. They sit in classified meetings, they shape legislation that moves entire industries, and then they go home and they trade on that information while the rest of us play by the rules. The penalty, $200 and 0 prosecutions in 13 years. Last night, President Trump put every single one of them on notice. Pass the Stop Insider Trading Act, or explain to the American people why you won't. And Nancy Pelosi, sitting there with her $269 million net worth and her husband's coincidentally brilliant stock picks, she is the living, breathing symbol of everything that's wrong with Washington. And last night, 80 million Americans saw it on live television. So what are you going to do about it? How about click on that link below and learn how you too can trade like Pelosi, but legally and ethically. It's this Thursday, February 26th, 3 p.m. Eastern. It's going to be absolutely huge, but seating is limited. Click the link below and snag one of those online seats. This is going to change your life, gang. You're not going to want to miss it. Hey, want to represent faith, family, and freedom? Check out the official Turley Talks merch store. Link below.